Hey folks, this is Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. This is going to be my fourth edition in my weekly series, Lies and Half-Truths of the Bible. First, we're going to start out with some preliminary stuff so you know where I'm coming from on what I'm about to say. The first thing I'd like to say is following God is the goal, not the Bible. And people constantly get that confused, so I want to point that out right off the bat. Second point I want to point out, I don't disrespect God by questioning the Bible. I honor God by questioning what's in the Bible. Third thing I want to point out, the truth is strengthened by question, lies are weakened by them. So if what I'm questioning really is the truth, then it'll be strengthened by it. So there's nothing to be harmed from me questioning it. Fourth quote, this is from somebody, I don't remember who it is, but for somebody else, it's not mine. Science is questions that may never be answered. Religion is answers that can never be questioned. So once you make something sacred, it can't be questioned, and nothing's sacred, so we are going to question things. But the next point, I have a sprinkle of Jew in me, so this isn't anti-Semitism. I'm just pointing out fact, that's all it is. And the final point, following God is not a closed-minded endeavor, and Christians somehow falsely believe that following God is a closed-minded endeavor, and it is not. If you're closed-minded, you're not following God at all. So, okay. So let's do a quick review of last week, what we talked about. Last week we talked about Deuteronomy 7:6. I pointed out that the Jews weren't God's chosen people. I also pointed out that Deuteronomy 7:6 only reveals Jewish arrogance. That's all it was. Nothing else. Okay, so on with this week, we will be talking about Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. And this comes from the New King James version of the Bible. Then God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and marry, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominance over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. Okay, so I had two problems with Genesis 1:28. When he says, fill the earth and subdue it. Your goal in life is not to subdue anything. Your goal in life is to live in harmony with nature, with the animals, with the earth. And so here's what I'm saying. It's not about subduing anything or having dominance over anything. And so the next problem I had was the domination over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air. Why do you want to have dominance over things? Why can't you just get along and live in harmony with the birds and get in harmony with the fish? And it's a lot like what the Native Americans. Let me back up soon. It's about having respect for all living creatures like the Native Americans have. That's really what you're supposed to be doing, is living in harmony with all things in all different ways, not dominance, subduing it. I mean, we've already had a lot of that in our society, in the world, and we know that's really not the right way to do it. And so anyway, next point. So what is really going on in Genesis 1:28? It's real simple as always. It's nothing more than ego speak. The ego wants to dominate others. The humble want to cooperate with others. So an egotistical people would want to dominate the world, where a humble people would look at it and want to be in harmony with what is around them. Like the Indians, they looked at the wild animals as their friends, not as something to dominate and control and for only its need, not for some greedy need. Not to say that the Native Americans did not take wild animals, because they did, but they realized they were killing something and they had respect for it and only took what they needed. And again, I'm not saying that the Native Americans were perfect people, because they weren't. They had a lot of problems. However, in that aspect of their living, it's hard to beat them, really. Okay, next point. Can you see how an egotistical person would absolutely love to hear those words? It fits perfectly with your mentality if you're an egotistical person. Yeah! Subdue it! Domination over the earth! Yeah, baby! That's a bunch of ego speak if I've ever heard it. So, the reason I'm pointing this out in the Bible is, if somebody reads that and believes it, they have an excuse to go hurt other people and or other animals and in the earth in general, which is a BS. And this is the Japanese tried to dominate their island, but finally realized it was about harmony instead of dominance, and they learned to change their way of thinking so they could sustain themselves on their island. So again, I point out these lies not to disrespect God. I do it to honor God and to remove stumbling blocks from the Bible that keep people from following God. And this is definitely about subduing it, and domination over is really following man. It's not following God. Next week we will be discussing the claim that we are made in the image of God, which is Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. If you would like to know more simple and easy to understand principles that actually help you follow God without screwing you up, I have several links in the information section of this video that will help you do just that. And basically in the Following the Way of Growth blog, I boil all spirituality down to one thing: growth. And from there, there's 9 principles that help you achieve optimal growth. And if you sounds even vaguely interested, you should go check it out in the information section. If you want to watch last week's episode, click the link in the video response section. And I've also got a playlist out now where you can watch all of them, one right after the other. So if you're just running into this. Anyway, if you wouldn't mind, please rate until next Wednesday. Later, folks.